Then on Sports Central, we go over a March Madness game preview and prediction on the round of 64 matchup between the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Auburn Tigers. Huge matchup for both these teams coming up here in the round of 64. Both teams had bumpy finishes to their seasons, but I'll say this. I think both teams very much have got potential to go deep in this tournament based on, for one, how the tournament is set up, and for two, these are two dangerous teams that we've seen the potential of throughout the season. So a huge matchup for both these teams coming up here in the first round. We'll be over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today. Let's get started with your team trends. Iowa lost to Ohio State in the Big Ten tournament. They were 1-0, and Ohio State had an incredible run. Give credit to them. The 13 seed, Ohio State, made a run all the way to the semifinals. They were only a couple of games away from clinching an automatic bid, which would have been insane considering Ohio State has been pretty terrible this season. But Iowa comes out at 19-13, just the Big Ten. Ohio State making the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament perfectly sums up. And plus, Penn State also had an outstanding run. They went to the championship. It just perfectly sums up the Big Ten this season. Seeds like 3 to, you could say, 10 or 11 were just a total mess this season. Anyone could beat anybody. But Iowa comes out once again 19-13. Auburn on the other side also disappointed in their conference tournament. They lost to Arkansas 73-76. So both teams were 1-out in their conference tournaments. Auburn was bumpy down the stretch. They've lost 3 of their last 4, lost to Kentucky and Alabama, as well as Arkansas. Did beat Tennessee to finish out the regular season. So the Tigers do have just been bumpy down the stretch. And you could say the same about Iowa, though. This team lost to Nebraska to finish out the regular season. So not too many differences between the team trends for both teams. Games be on Thursday, March 16th in Birmingham. Your tip-off is 6:50 p.m. Eastern. Spread's going with Auburn here. The 9 seed is favored in this matchup, and the over-under is 152, pretty high for the line there. 8 versus 9. If you look at seeding between an 8 versus a 9, we've actually seen more success with the 9 seeds in recent history. And in fact, 9 seeds actually lead the series over 8 seeds overall, 76-72. It's close, and it's 50-50 as you'd expect, but it's something interesting to keep in mind. And if you look at the past 4 tournaments, the number 9 seeds have won 11 of 16 against 8 seeds. That is something definitely to note as we look forward to this tournament. Is 8 versus 9 games truly are just coin tosses. It could go either way on any given day. Stat comparison, Iowa gets 80 points on average per game. This is a strong offensive team, and they allow 74 on average. Auburn on the other side gets 72 on average, or close to 73, and they allow an average of 67 points a game. If you look at the BPI, Auburn is ranked higher than Iowa, as they're 27. Iowa on the other side is 32. Your notable games as well, this is where we can see how these two teams have played against significant opponents and teams that are in the tournament. Iowa did lose to Purdue by 4, beat Indiana twice, which was definitely significant. They played Duke at one point, lost to them by 12, beat Iowa State, who turns out to be a 6 seed, beat them by 19, and they were 1-1 against Michigan State. For Auburn on the other side, they got swept by Alabama, 1-1 against Tennessee, 1-1 against Arkansas. They also got swept by Texas A&M, and they lost to West Virginia by 3. So, on Iowa's resume, you got 2 wins against Indiana, which is very impressive. Very dominant win over Iowa State as well. And for Auburn, you got a win over Tennessee and Arkansas, but that's about it for the Tigers. Your key points for this one, Iowa 19-13. This is one of the best offenses in the country. You consider Chris Murray. He is nothing short of outstanding, averaging 20 points a game for this team. And, he's also averaging 8 rebounds. He's been outstanding this season for this team. And, you also consider Connor McCaffrey. He's also been outstanding. So, this is a really well-rounded team here in Iowa, and offense is really where this team excels. And, they average 80 points a game, and that just speaks for itself. But the thing is, though, for this team, you just got to stay consistent with that offense. In March Madness, you'll see that sometimes the strong offensive teams struggle to make deep runs just because of maybe the pressure of the moment. But Iowa's overall handled it pretty well down the stretch, and they've played well in big games. And so, I think this team is very much one that is dangerous if they can hit their shots. I mean, if this team can hit their threes and hit their shots, they are very dangerous in this tournament. But for Auburn, they started the season 16-3, finished out the season 3-8. So this team was bumpy down the stretch, a bit inconsistent. They're going to need a strong game defensively. If they can hold Iowa to below 70 points, I think Auburn's got a good chance here to pull out this win. And at their best, I mean, I think Auburn at their best is better than Iowa, just on both ends. I think Auburn is a very talented team. They did disappoint last year's tournament, and that's also another thing to keep in mind. The Tigers come into this tournament more with a underdog mindset, considering this team disappointed last year. They were expected to go much further last year than they are this year. So this is a chance for them to redeem themselves. And as for Iowa, you could say some of the same as they return to the tournament once again. But yeah, crucial game for both these teams. You look at the bracket as well. I mean, you look at the other side. This is the region where I think you've got Kansas, you've got Houston on the other side. This is the Midwest region. Houston is on the other side playing Northern Kentucky. And so Houston more than likely going to win that game. The winner of this game is probably going to be playing Houston. And I'll say this about Houston. I mean, Houston is an outstanding team. I mean, a very complete team. But I do think Houston is a bit vulnerable. I do think the Cougars might not go quite as far as some might expect. I think Houston's one of the teams that is potentially vulnerable to lose in the Sweet 16 or sometime before the Elite Eight. So that's something to keep in mind. I think the winner of this game very much stands a chance against Houston. Just keep that in your mind as we look forward to this matchup and in the future as well. But that said, let's get to the prediction here for Iowa and Auburn coming up here in the round of 64. I'm going to be going with Auburn to win this game 74-71. So my predicted final score. Once again, I think the ceiling for Auburn is a bit higher than Iowa's. And I mean, for Iowa, you just got to be hitting your shots. If you're the Hawkeyes, this is a team with a very strong offense, averaging 80 points a game. And I think Iowa could very well win this matchup, but I think in the end it comes down to a really close finish, and the Tigers just pull it out. And I think the Tigers in the end, I think they're going to have the mindset too. This is a team that disappointed last year. They're going to want to redeem themselves this tournament. And so I like Auburn to get the win here, 74-71. This is a game, 8 versus 9, that you could easily see it go either way, but I'm going with the Tigers to pull out the win here. Over-under is 152. I am taking the under for this matchup. Honestly, if you think the Hawks are going to win, might as well just take the over, but I've got Auburn winning, so I'm going to take the under and Auburn to cover the spread in the end. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup, and I appreciate you guys watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.